Hello and welcome to another Delboy's 8-bit years. And we're going back to the Vic20 period of my life. And just before I go into talking about this particular game, just want to explain a little bit about that period because I think it's important that we set things up. When I got my Vic20, it was my first color computer. The only other color gaming machine I had was an Atari 2600, which, just like my VIC-20, was only as good as the games that I could purchase for it, and games back then were quite expensive. The VIC-20 was supposed to make things a little bit more simpler for me because you could buy things on tape, and tape is much cheaper than buying things on cartridge. Cartridge to me was £20 and above, and most of the time they would be in the £30 to £40 range. And back in 1981, 82, 83, that was quite a considerable amount of money for me as a child and my parents as people that wanted to keep me happy. So that being said, this particular game is one that I can only play around with friends. Um, we had a next door neighbor that was an American, and he rented the property because he worked on a local Air Force base. So basically I could go round there and play on some totally different games that I couldn't play over here in England. This is another one of those types of games, and there are not that many. Most of the games in my VIC-20 years that you will be coming across will be versions that you could buy in England and cost and were not expensive. So with that setting put in place, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the game. And I think that might be best to do that with some images. So I'm going to move to some images. There we go. And the first screen I'm just going to show you here is the game, which is called K-Star Patrol, which is by CBS Software. But I was reading the manual on this, and I thought it was so well written that I thought I would sort of read it out verbatim because it explains it so much better than I could. So in K-Star Patrol, you lead your patrol flight of 8 starships through 10 enemy space sectors as you travel over a hostile alien planet. The alien ships rise vertically from the planet and then transform themselves into warhead rockets and aim towards your ships. Your lead ship is equipped with laser weaponry, a force barrier to protect the other ships, and 3 neutralizer bombs to destroy something called the intergalactic Looch. The force barrier drains of energy quickly. Its energy can only be recharged by skimming over lakes across the planet. The leech will try to cover you, and when it does, you will not be able to fire. The only way to destroy the leech is to use one of your bombs, for which you only have 3 of. So I think that really does explain the game really, really well. And if you were looking at the text, I think it might be best just to display a few of what the images of the game look like. So this is some of the screens that I pulled from my gameplay. The very first screen really is just the presentation screen. As soon as you turn your VIC-20 on, it presents you with this screen, and really you've only got the option of pressing the trigger. Now, there are a couple of other keys. You can press F1 to reset, and you can press space to pause the game. But pretty much that is it. There are no level selects that I could find, but you can choose between 1 or 2 player. The middle sector is the screen, and if you took notes of what we were talking about in regards to the description of the game, you'll see there are all the ships that you're trying to protect. There's a line in front of those. That's your energy barrier that only displays when you activate it. You're going to need to do that because you can't be in several places at the same time, and you can only fire 2 shots at a time. The rest of it is made up of the planet and the lakes. As you can see, there are some blue lakes. If you skim over those lakes, you will replenish that energy barrier. The rest is made up of the aircraft that launch themselves off of the ground, and when they get to a certain point, they transform themselves to rockets and head towards your ships. So that basically is the game, and it's very, very hectic and very, very difficult. Now, the only other machine that I think that this was developed for was the Atari 8-bits, and I think that included the Atari 2600. I've included a couple of screenshots here, and you can see there isn't very much of a difference between the VIC-20 and the Atari 8-bits. So this is, again, showing off the infancy of this game. And here's the manual. And I thought the manual was really nice, and I thought it was best to include it here because if you do go out and decide you wanted to play this game yourself, you could pause this and read that description that's there. So there's a picture of the screen like I gave you before. There's a little description about your lead ship, the alien barrier, and then, of course, the most important part that I find here is the joystick controller. Yes, because not only are you moving up and down to move your ship and fire, but you can move your joystick left to activate the energy barrier, and you can move the joystick to the right to speed up through the sectors, because there are 10 sectors to get through, and you really do need to go through these sectors as fast as possible, because the aliens are just relentless and will just keep coming towards you. Now, we mentioned about this leech. This leech is like a starry, speckly type effect. If it covers your ship, the only way to get rid of it is to actually move your joystick in a circular motion. So basically, that will activate a bomb for which you only get 3 of, and you only get those replenished if you get to the end of each sector. Now, normally I would give you at this point a score that I saw that were in the magazines, but I couldn't find one magazine score for this game, whether it be for the Atari or for the VIC-20. But I did see that some kind soul had decided to go back to this game and play it on their machine at home, and they gave the score 7 out of 10, which when I'm going to let you make your own decision up on whether you think that that is a good score or not. I think that's about right. This is not a classic game, but it is a game of the moment. And I think you'll find that for a very underpowered machine like the VIC-20, they did an amazing job of keeping you engrossed, trying to get that high score, not to frustrate you too much, and to basically give you a good challenging game. So with that, we're going to alter my screen to the game recording screen. And I'm going to load it up and turn the sound up. And we'll see if I can play the game any better 40 years on or not. So we'll press F1 to reset. Choose the number of players, which will be 1. Here we go. There I am. I can fire. You can also turn that barrier on. There we go. So that barrier is needed every now and again. But right now, just need to keep these craft at bay. I can speed up if I feel like I want to go through the sector a bit quicker. Don't want to move too fast. Oh, lost my ship because I was putting the barrier on. That's one way of blocking them. Put your ship in front of everything. Oh, wow. Really starting to put the barrier on there. I think I've run out of energy. I have. So I need to also skim along the pools as soon as I see a big enough one. Hopefully there we are, got the barrier back up, but that was, got that leech. Need to blow it up. There we go. So I use the smart bomb to get rid of the leech. And already you can see my ships are starting to diminish. So you're having to do a lot of things here to keep these ships at bay and to get that high score as best as possible. Wow. Like I say, they are relentless. Nearing the end of the first part. Oh, just another ship. Right, we entered the first sector. It counts your ships and then moves you forward. So it's replenished one bomb for me. Need to get that energy back up. Oh, and then the leech got me. Got it. So I think the only real game flaw with this, and now we've got ships that are firing from the ground at me, I think you can see that when you're down to one ship and you're only protecting one ship, you can forget about the top part of the screen a little bit, because you're only protecting that one ship at the bottom. So that's probably about the only game flaw that I can see in this, but most arcade people that want high scores would not let that affect them, and they would be moving around to get the maximum amount of score. I'm cheating there for a little bit, really, by just staying low. Oh, sped the ground up a little bit now because I want to get through this sector. Oh, and I died. Oh dear. And there we go. I didn't do particularly well there, so we'll go back to the camera and just wind this up. Now, like I say, this is a game of its time, but when you consider that all we had in the arcades at the time was Defender and Scramble and Pac-Man and Space Invaders, I think the programmers have done a remarkable feat of trying to do something a little bit different. Not only have you got up and down and fire, you've also got smart bombs, force barriers, trying to skim over the bottom of the planet to get your energy levels up, plus trying to get through 10 sectors. I think that's a pretty big feat for such an underpowered machine. And I've got lovely memories of this particular game when I went round to my friends to play it. He let me go on it. But of course, I couldn't go on it every day, so I never really improved on my score. But through the magic of emulation, we can all play these games now. We don't need to worry about the fact that it's only available in America. We can change all of our programs to make it so that it can run. And with that, I'm going to leave you to contemplate whether you'd like to discover this game yourself. And till the next 8-bit years, I'm going to say salute to you. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.